what are you doing now to make sure that if and when this guy doesn't pan out, because if you don't have expectations, he can only be patient for so long. I presume he's not in his 20s, is he?
No, but he's I can almost like I'd put probably all my money on that he's fine with where things are right
Well, I
now.
agree. I'm not saying he's not. I'm not saying he's going to. I'm not saying the relationship ends. What I'm saying is he's not going to be around, meaning his resources. Again, I'm not talking down on the person who works as a bartender. It's just a bartender that's not going to make enough money to support a family in most states. With the economy, that the way things are, with how hard things are, it's really hard for somebody who is not making at least $60,000 to $75,000 a year to support himself, let alone add in somebody else and a child. So if he decided to say, if you woke up tomorrow and said, you know what, Jessica's tired of doing this by herself. I think I'll give him a shot. All right, let's try it. Let's try this. Heck with it. You move in here, I move in with you. Let's do this. And he's the perfect guy. He's still everything you said he is. Nothing changes. You guys don't have any issues, no fallout. It's just, the natural relationship ups and downs. He's still not going to be able to provide you with that financial future or the comfort of knowing that you're going to be set for the rest of your life. So then that falls on you, right? Is that fair to say?
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't see that as a problem. Like I made double what my ex-husband made when we were together.
Yeah,
And
that's good.
so I think I just have a different like viewpoint than you on that. I think I like live in
Okay.
a different paradigm. Um
Okay. Help me understand how you think, because that way I can understand your portion, your
yeah.
position.
I've never thought that a man was gonna, or a man or a marriage, either, or were going to give me a financial future. I've
Okay.
always, I moved out when I was 16. So I've basically been making like my own money since then. Life coaching is the one thing I always wanted to do because it helped me so much in my early 20s. I was a disaster. And I worked full-time jobs. I have a master's degree. I did all these things, and all I ever thought about was life coaching and like how I wanted to go back to that because I was doing some work in it. And the way that I kept thinking about it was I don't want to do a job that I don't want to do. I want to do a job that I feel like has longevity. And this has proven that to me. And actually I love what I do because I started out working with a different population, and I can continue to change forever. Like I'm in more of the domestic violence space now. I probably will stay here for a very long time, but I hope to actually I'm in training right now to be a high conflict divorce coach, and I hope to be able to help women that are going through very complicated legal battles in the family court system. Um
It's a very lucrative business today.
Yeah, I mean, so is narcissistic abuse. To be honest with you, it's everywhere, and I have more clients that I know what to do with. Like most of the time, but I would say that like for me, I always I couldn't never rely on a parent. I couldn't rely on a partner. Like I said, I made more than he did. I was responsible for all the bills and the rent and all that stuff, and I always felt like this is on me. Like I don't want that. I don't want that feeling of I like the feeling of partnership, and I like the
Mhm.
feeling of like we are able to, I guess, like we can have goals, and we can like have financial goals, and we can blend them together. But as a single parent, I've always felt like I'm responsible for me and for her, and we need to be set up. So like even though I don't work for a company, I have an investment fund. She has had a college fund since she's been 6 months old. Every gift she's ever been given has been invested. So I take it, I invest it, and it sits there. And it will sit there. And it's going to sit there until she's old enough to get it. But by then it will be larger, much larger, I'm sure.
Sure. Sure.
Um, and even like savings, like sh- I, I guess I have always felt like I don't ever want to rely on somebody for money. And so that's where my mindset comes from. And now, like, to your point, isn't it part of like a dream, or like a larger dream, to be able to be with somebody who can financially either, like, say I did, like, I don't know, get into an accident and I couldn't do what I'm doing, like, what would happen, right? Like, wouldn't it be nice to have somebody like be able to support that? And I fortunately live in a city where my boyfriend makes tons of money bartending, and it's a lucrative thing, and that's what he likes to do. And I almost like don't like, it doesn't bother me as long as he's smart with it. So I just think I have a different viewpoint around it, because
Sure.
but also something that my ex-husband and I had a joint account, but we did not share all our money. That was always very important to me, is that I had savings, and it was my savings. And when we got divorced, he got his portion of the joint account, and I actually didn't take anything. I just wanted what I saved. So I think that
Sure.
that's been, I guess it's like more of like an independent, this is what makes me comfortable mindset, which I think is just different from the way that you see it.
I understand. I understand where you're coming from, and I maybe I should probably explain my position so you understand what I mean. I never said that you need to rely on somebody for your future or yourself. What I said was a partnership, not a partnership, because I don't really believe marriage is a partnership. I think partnerships are, I can provide 80% of an equity stake in a business and you're considered a partner. We can be joint partner or joint ventures or something like that, but it's not an equal partnership. So, but what I'm saying is this is, in a relationship, you should have yourself equally yoked with a person that would allow you to achieve the goals that you have for yourself and exceed the things that you have for yourself. The reason I say that is this is, when you're older, so for example, like my mother passed at 70. I keep referring to my mother because, again, that's probably the closest woman that I got to see firsthand what happened with her. She passed away at 70 years old, but she had cancer for 6 of those years. As much as she still had the zest for life, she still had the ability to work with people and help people and do the things she could do for them, there was still the concern that she was not able to physically be as financially stable because of her position, of what was going on in her life. So I asked you those questions I asked you earlier because my perception or my opinion on this is when you get in a relationship, there are multiple types of relationships you can be in. You can be in a relationship with your career. If you feel that's rewarding, that's fair. You can be in a relationship with the government. Most people live off welfare checks. That's fair as well. Or you can be in a relationship with a man. My perception is, or a woman, if you are, of the LGBTQ community, right? My perception is this, is when you are in the right relationship, the government is never going to be in the right relationship because the government looks out for its best interest. Your career is never going to be the right relationship because your career is not going to be there to take care of you when you are at an older age in life, right? Your career only has a certain limit that you are allowed to devote your time, energy, and efforts into it. Now, the only thing that's going to last, and I can use multiple examples. We can use Jeff Bezos and his wife that went through divorces. We can use Bill Gates and his wife. The only thing that is guaranteed the best return on your investment, and when I say investment, I mean your investment of time, because at 36 years old, you've invested 36 years on this earth. The only thing that's going to give you a return on that investment is a relationship with the right partner. Right partner as far as a man or a woman, because now you guys can have common goals, you guys can build together, and regardless of how independent you want to be, you can never attain as much as you can by yourself as you would with somebody else. Two heads are always better than one. It's just again food for thought, because it's good to be independent, but we're only allowed to be independent when we feel invincible and we feel like we're superhuman, because we haven't really experienced anything to shake us in our core, right? You haven't had something that happened to say, wow, well, what if this was really a problem? What if I couldn't walk tomorrow? What if I couldn't talk tomorrow? What if I was bedridden and now I need someone to help take care of my daughter tomorrow, right? So there's all these things that we never think about until it happens, and that's when crises occur. But when you plan for it, based on what you help people with, when you plan for it, it becomes easier of a step to handle when you get there. So I'm not telling you, hey, get in a relationship, marry this guy, or I don't think marriage works well in the Western society, but I still think that you should have a plan in place for a relationship to know if this guy is the right person, if you guys are going to have expectations, because the minute you put expectations, expect what I said. 2 battlefields, the war starts. You have to be willing to get on that battlefield. You have to be willing to get on fight that war. If you're not, that's fine. You can still stay as independent as you can and avoid as much conflict as possible, but then you're never going to truly get deeper with anybody else to be able to truly have that return on your investment that you want, that I said at the beginning. Does that kind of make sense? I hope I tied it all in for you.
Yeah. And like, I think that by saying earlier when I said we had no expectations, I should have prefaced that it's more on like the timeline of things.
Okay.
Like the depth of conversations and like the issue, like we do argue, like we're humans, and we're exclusive and all those things. Like I wouldn't, if he cheated on me, I would be devastated. Like things like that. Like we have all of those things are sorted out. It's more so on like the timeline and what we actually want. Like we have talked about, like, do we care about marriage with the like, I always said, like, I think I'd prefer just like a commitment ceremony. Like we're going to do all those things, but I don't think I need like the government to be involved. Like things like that, like those expectations, like he doesn't have on me, like, and when I don't have on him. And I've been in relationships where it's like, well, at what point do you get married? And at what point do you do this? And it's like, not that I'm moving at the speed of my daughter exclusively, but it's almost like also the speed of myself. Like, what can I handle? What do I want? Like, we've been together for a year, and we've talked about moving in together once. It's just, we both know it's not there yet. Like, I love my personal space. He loves his personal space. And we've talked about like, how would we make that work? Like, we would need space. We would need the space so that we both could have that, and like obviously agreements around that too.